Warning: the following podcast contains violent scenes that may be unsettling to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
A poor soul of noble origins, a squire tested in battle, a knight-errant forged in Camelot, a man strengthened by love. Join Adam as Sir Goliston and Craig as the Game Master in Blood and Lust, a King Arthur Pendragon duet game of chivalry and mythic adventure. Let us win glory for our king, who will reward us with honors and lands, and the devil take the hindmost. So you're staring ahead and see these two glowing eyes kind of emerge from the darkness and trying to figure out what this thing is. Do you have either folklore or fairy lore?
Not much of either. I have a little bit more fairy lore than folklore, but still pretty close to the base.
Let's roll some fairy lore.
No, that's a hard no.
So you're trying to figure out what this thing is as it creeps closer to you, and it's this big, massive, like wolfish canine form. And you've seen wolves before, you've seen dogs before. This is neither. It kind of has like this like gaseous blue aura around it as it's emerging from the darkness, and it's like growling and seems to be very, very keen on you, and then turns and notices your food that's cooking at the fire.
I want to see if I can kind of just throw the food into the woods or something and see if like they'll just leave us alone. Because I thought it was going to be like a bear or a wolf, you know, the type of beasts that regularly attack camping men, like the ones I've heard in countless tales. This, on the other hand, I don't know. Maybe if we just give it our food, it will be gone.
Okay. I don't know. This kind of sounds like hunting, actually.
I pick up the haunch of meat and I'm just like, is it this you want? And I throw it into the trees.
Can you make me a hunting roll?
I actually passed 7 out of 10.
First off, check your hunting, if you didn't already check it from earlier. But you see this beast kind of like follow your hand and watch this like haunch go into the like darkness of the woods. It kind of turns its head and looks at it and kind of like gives like a, but as it says, it's like really voluminous, this like growl or bark or whatever it did. And you kind of feel it echo throughout your entire body. Like you could feel it in the backs of your teeth, and it kind of like backs up slowly into the woods again. And you're just watching these two eyes, and then it kind of disappears in a puff of smoke. And then it kind of like reappears next to the fire, and it's like chewing on this bone, and it kind of looks at you, and now it just seems like a giant mastiff, and it's like looking at the bone, which is like now like supernaturally licked, literally bone white, and it just sits down and looks up at you and does one of those really deep barks again, like you feel it in your teeth again, and it looks at you more, and its tail starts wagging.
What are you? Goliston kind of looks at this creature in amazement, and he still definitely has his guard up completely. He's not letting his guard down around this thing, but it is kind of starting to remind him of just hounds he's seen in the manor, or just wild dogs he's seen just kind of like running around in this behavior. But this is not like any kind of dog, wolf, anything he's seen before. And I don't know, I don't think he's seen any kind of magic or seen anything from like the fairy world in real life. And he's probably heard stories that he like maybe didn't take full stock in, but you know, all that stuff is hearsay. But this is like something he's seeing for the first time, like with his own eyes, and he's just kind of like in complete shock right now. But he's going to kind of see if he can get another scrap of food and kind of just like cautiously kneel down close to the blue dog-like entity and just kind of be like, here you are, lad. Here you go. Eat up now. See? All friends here. Nothing but friends here. And I look to Baldrick with just like a very grave expression. I'm so scared.
Baldrick passes his valorous roll, and you see this canine beast thing kind of like open its mouth, and like even though it's kind of like in like a more dog-like form than it was earlier, it's still like its mouth opens like the size of your head, and it kind of like curls around this piece of meat that you're offering it, and like the meat kind of like disappears around it, and then like the dog kind of like shimmers into like this blue smoke again from and like disappears from your side, and then you're looking around trying to find it again. Then you look down by the fire, and it's sort of like lying down on the ground, just kind of picking this bone cream clean, and it's just like ignoring you now. And like you see, like it just basically transported itself in like a blink of an eye, like across the campsite, and now it's just kind of chewing on the bone and looking at you a little bit, and it wags its tail.
Baldrick, what do you make of this?
I don't know, sir.
It doesn't look as though it wants to harm us right now.
No, definitely not right now, but wasn't quite so sure earlier.
It's kind of dog-like in its form, wouldn't you say? Some sort of fairy hound?
If you say so, good sir.
Goliston is like still just completely in shock. Part of him wants to pack up the camp and see if they can kind of just go while this thing is placated with the meat. And I think he's actually going to propose that to Baldrick. He's going to be like, do we pack up while it's distracted, make our way through the woods, or do we wait and study this creature more?
That's really your call, sir, as he's already rolling up his bedroll.
Right. Indeed. All right, Baldrick. Let us make haste. And I'm kind of just like being careful to kind of like tiptoe around this thing. And if it follows us, like who knows, maybe it'll kind of watch out for us. But I don't want to just like stick around and let it get hungry again and just eat us here while we try to go back to sleep or something. I think this is like, if anything, a sign that we need to move on.
Right. And Baldrick doesn't think that either of you would be getting much sleep in this spot for the rest of the night.
I'm not sure I'm ever going to sleep again.
I mean, you made your valorous. So, yeah, the two of you make haste and break camp and, probably travel for many more hours through the night to see if you can put some distance between yourself and the creature. Since you're moving about at night in a strange woods, can I get another hunting roll?
That's a fail.
Yeah, you have no direction which way you're going. Like you look up at the stars, and they even seem off to you a little bit, almost like they've been like kind of moved around. So you are kind of lost.
I turn over to Baldrick, and when I'm like finally ready to admit that I've lost our way, I'm just like, Baldrick, I think we might have walked in a little bit of a circle here. I have to admit that ethereal hound threw me off my bearings.
Right. Well, no man could actually fault you for that, sir. The Feywild is a dangerous place.
And Goliston doesn't actually know like a lot about fairy lore, so he's gonna kind of just be like, why do you say that?
Oh, just stories,
Indeed, but stories are just that, stories. Can't be living our lives in fear of. And he's just kind of like thinking about that as he says it, just thinking about just like how moments ago he saw this otherworldly creature that he like fed, and even just like watching its mannerisms and its behavior, it's still just like racing in his mind. He's just like, I suppose you're right. Let us be careful.
Can you make me an awareness roll?
Sorry, dice is a little slow today. Oh, that's a pass though. 7 on a 9.
All right, check your awareness, and you kind of like take some time to look around and get your bearing again. When you think you're going the right direction, and then you hear another one of those like soul-filling barks, and you kind of see this dog beast like kind of sitting at the crest of the hill, and you see like the sun starting to rise above its shoulder, and it's kind of silhouetting itself in front of you, which actually makes it even more bigger and probably even more terrifying. But as you see the sun going up, you recognize that, well, that's obviously east.
So I'm able to kind of like realign myself as I see the sun rising, and I'm just like also a little bit relieved to see daybreak. It's just a little things are just more chaotic at night always, and he probably just believes out of some superstition that the fairy wilds are more active at night as well. And just like probably associates anything scary with just like night, probably as like people did in older times. But yeah, so as he sees like the daybreak and he kind of like gets his bearings again, I know which direction we need to head now. Is it like where does that put me in relation to the fairy dog that's just showed himself?
Well, you kind of need to go like southeast to get to where you're wanting to go at this point, which will kind of take you across his path, but unless you go up to him, not right up to him, and you're kind of making your way, and then you notice that out of nowhere a trail suddenly springs to life in front of you. Like you've gone from like super thick, dense forest to, oh, here's the poor excuse for what passes as the King's Highway in these parts.
We tread quickly onto the trail, and the second my feet hit the official trail, I say a prayer, and I'm just like a sense of relief washes over me.
Yeah, and since you're booking it, it doesn't take you long to recognize the cast of legions in the distance, one of the landmarks, and you continue on. You stop there overnight, you head through Norgales, to Gomerett. It's a long journey, and it takes you like several more weeks to complete. But at long last, you start asking about the kingdom of Gwalod, and it's actually recognized in this area. And some of the peasants are actually able to say, "Oh yeah, it's just like another day is ride in this direction."
I wait until we're good and ready. I imagine that like once well, I'm sure that this kind of happened along the way where we kind of like escaped the really, really rugged travel and probably like spent a few nights with like a roof over our head along the way or something like that. So probably being in much better spirits when I actually set out to Gwalod, and just kind of like feeling like I've talked enough to locals to like know where I'm headed into the woods, and just kind of like feel like my stomach is full. I'm as ready as I'll ever be. That's when me and Baldrick are gonna like set out in the morning.
So you set out in the morning, and taking the advice of some of the locals, you make your way to Gwalod, and it's described to you as a fairy tale like land, which has been relatively untouched by recent wars. It's actively pagan, and its rulers basically are thought of as king and queen of the land. You come to this crossroads where the northern and southern ends of these dikes are, and like looking across this distance, you see like this area that's these dikes were put up and it has been reclaimed from the waters, and you see like a vast number of cities along them. And asking some of the locals, they refer to them as the 76 cities. I mean, they're actually towns, but the peasants say that they're full of happy peasants who spin cloth as smooth as samite, and even the beggars ride war horses here.
That's like confusing to Goliston. He's just like, how is that so? But he nevertheless kind of just like agree or nods along, and he's not really sure what to make of this place. If this is like some kind of land of milk and honey, I don't know. There's a fairy connection, like it's described as like a fairy tale land or something. He's kind of like weary of this place.
One of the peasants points you to a large tower in the distance and refers to it as the Tower of the Sea. And you see it's like this kind of like bastion on the edge of this dike that is again holding back the water. And it's said that the Lord lives there, so that's where you should head.
And so I set out towards the tower. How far away is it from? Because so I'm looking on. This kingdom is has smaller townsteads in it, I guess, right? So how far away is the tower? Do I have to cross many towns to get there?
If you just stay along the road, you should be able to get there before nightfall.
Oh, that's perfect.
So you mount up again on your palfrey, and you, Baldrick, and your train of horses kind of scoots along. And as you're going, the wind and the rain pick up as you're going, and thunder crashes from among the western crowds, and raindrops are splashing off your armor, and you find a crossroad, and a dirt trail kind of leads off towards the tower, and you see there just kind of appearing as if almost out of nowhere this haggish figure, and she's like super tall, over 7 feet tall, wiry frame with these rags kind of flapping in the breeze, and she's almost seems like she floats when she walks, and she kind of extends the hand out to her and to you and beckons you towards her. Can I get a valorous check, please?
I passed 4 on a 14.
Well, you could tell that your horse is ready to bolt, but you somehow keep it in line as you make your approach. When you get close enough, the hag kind of says to you, "Oh, another hero to seek the Countess, eh? Oh, you have to be better than the last one if you wish to keep your head. Soldiers he likes, not wooers that try him more."
Oh, Goliston does not like that, but he tries to kind of still stand tall, and this woman's pretty big too. He tries to stand tall and proud and defiant in the face of this hag, and he just goes, "Pay this hag no mind, Baldrick. We are men on a mission." And he tells her to be gone. Actually, he just looks at her, and even though he is scared inside, he's just "Leave us. We have important business."
"Be seeing you." And she kind of dissipates into the darkness as a clash of lightning hits through, and you hear someone else calling out to you, "You there on the road, get inside." And it seems to be someone at the tower beckoning you and your companion to, take shelter inside the stables as the rain and storm just really picks up.
Yeah, and we ride hard to where we're beckoned to, and we just take cover.
The man kind of leads you and Baldrick to the stables and helps you dismount, and pages take away your horses and start brushing them off, and says, "Oh, wow, glad I got you back in time."
Did you see that foul creature on the trail? That woman, that hag, that bog witch.
"Oh, no. Perhaps it's best if we make our way in, and you can enjoy our Lord's hospitality."
Indeed.
So basically, this man kind of leads you to a chamber where you can wash and refresh yourself, and you probably figure it's a good time to change into your better clothes to be received at court rather than go in this murky stuff that you were traveling in. It's basically all wet. Your room has a fine down mattress and comforter, and there's these Roman style braziers set up for heating, and gives a nice warm glow to the room, and you could just hear the storm just going outside. After you're cleaned up, like a herald sort of type person kind of leads you down to announce you to your host lord, who he says is named Count Guidno Garan here. Count Guidno would be receiving you.
And kind of brushing off my fineries, I prepare to make my way down to Lord Guidno, looking like a tall bumblebee in my black and yellow regalia, and looking a lot more cleaned up than I have in the past several weeks.
So you make your way into the hall, and he's sitting. This, stately man is seated on this carved ebony throne. To his right sits this not quite middle-aged woman who is introduced to you as Countess Triamore, and on his left is a knight. He's an older knight who is introduced as Sir Scythian, and they say, welcome to this idyllic land, traveler. Who are you?
I am Sir Goliston. I serve under Lord Gregor de Stafford, and I take a knee, and I'm just like, it is an honor to be received by you.
The honor is all ours, says the Count, as he bids you to rise. Nothing's more needed these days than friendly visitors, and especially on a night like tonight.
The commoners I've talked to along the way have made this place out to be such an idyllic land. Do you have many enemies? What seems to trouble you?
Nothing here troubles us, though we are very vigilant in our daily patrols to keep it that way. And Sir Seethan kind of nods at that. Like, yeah, he's the one doing all this patrolling to keep things safe.
I kind of like, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you go.
I kind of give a modest chuckle, but I'm just like, forgive my ignorance. I'm a newcomer to these lands. What significance does tonight hold?
Well, it's the first night in ages that we had a visitor. Please, let's delay no further, and let's start a feast. And everyone's like, yeah, let's start a feast. They bring out big long wooden boards with this smoked pike on it, and there's some salad and pastry in it, and it looks really good. And they have a bard who is there, and he's telling the story of the tale of Brutus's voyage to Britain and him overcoming the giants. And then the wine comes out. Count Gwindor is savoring it, and you're given a glass as well. And he's like, fine wine from the land of Troy, where our ancestors ruled. This was brewed for the prey to Bacchus, but seized by Brenimus, my ancient ancestor who plundered Rome, and saved this until this feast. And everyone's like, oh yeah.
That's pretty impressive to Goliston. He's just like, wow, this is I've never had anything of this vintage. I've drinking commoner wine, and even the finer wines that I've tasted did not have such a storied history to them.
Do you wish to indulge in said wine?
Oh, well, I surely don't mean to impose.
He's already offering you the wine.
Yeah,
but,
okay, yeah. Oh,
does,
yeah, then
does
I'm drinking
Goliston wish to drink more of it and be like, oh yeah, this is really good wine, and savor it?
I think initially he was probably just going to have the regular hospitable amount, but I think once he tastes it and enjoys it, he's definitely going to, if offered another glass, accept it. Just oh, this is really good. While also trying not to drink too deeply. But yeah, he knows that can get away from me sometimes.
Would you like to make a temperate roll, please?
Just barely passed, 11 on a 12.
Well, first off, check your temperate. The Count, on the other hand, is clearly indulging, and it's this sort of liquid ambrosia coming out of this crystal bottle with has a little cool figurine on top. It looks has a Roman eagle on it and everything. I tell
Baldrick, I'm like, don't judge them, Baldrick. They're pagan. This is part of their ways. But clearly it's just me judging them really hard and being kind of not uncomfortable, but just feeling out of place because it doesn't exactly align with my social attitudes. But I'm just yes.
Check your honest. As the Count is clearly checking his generous and his indulgent, he's indulging quite heavily, and he's starting to kind of nod off. And the older knight, Sir Seethan, kind of whispers to you, is he gets this sometimes. It's his geas, to drink anything set before him. But he always falls asleep after the good drink.
Well, we all enjoy our time in different ways. This is a lovely, lovely manor, or whatever I would properly call it.
My many thanks. I'll be sure to pass along your thankfulness to the Count when he awakes. And you're kind of like watching as a bunch of servants kind of help the Count back to his bed, and then you notice like the Countess is kind of like smiling, and she kind of like smiles, and then she like is kind of like playing with like a really big jeweled ring on her finger and like twirling her earrings and necklace, and just like talking about like all this like amazing profit that these towns are churning out, and how she's going to have the finest dresses.
Is she just like talking to somebody at the feast right now, or just kind of like going on like to like a group of people or something, or is she like specifically telling this to me?
Well, I will allow you to make either courtesy or intrigue. Let me know which one.
Courtesy, because that one is a lot better for me. Still a fail though.
So I don't know. It just probably doesn't come out the most courteous, but you're kind of thinking aloud to yourself, like, who is she talking to? And you probably even say as much out loud, but then only too late you notice that, oh, she's probably talking so the whole table can hear her and chime in. And then you kind of get some like sideways glances from some of the other guests at the dinner.
I like kind of will indulge her conversation a little bit and just be like, it was like coming upon an oasis when my squire Baldrick and I arrived at your lands. It was many weeks of hard travel that brought us here, and to be greeted with such hospitality, the finest wine I've ever tasted, and amazing food and feast. Surely this is a great and prosperous place.
That it is, but this has been good wine. However, 2 nights hence will surely be the night for tasteful indulgence. That night, and she leans in close to you, after the bard speaks of the swan night, ask my lord for Noah's line. And she kind of winks at you.
He's kind of just like wondering about what that information like. So she's giving him like some kind of like tip or hint, and he's just like he's trying to act like appreciative, but he's not really sure. Like I don't know. He doesn't want to seem like out of place or like discourteous, so he'll just kind of like nod politely and just be like, "Oh, haha, yes, of course," and just kind of like wink back, I guess. But he doesn't know if he really like wants to go down this hole of like trying like the most indulgent, like just like further and further down this hole of just like the most indulgent thing. So he's kind of just like, yeah, great, of course, of course. I don't know if she knows, but I'm addicted to spice. So I grab like another big haunch of meat and kind of like go back to blending in. But out of character really quick, she was telling me about the Swan Night. Is that something that the bard like performs? Like was that what she was saying?
Yeah, I mean, like tonight, you have the story of Brutus and the giants but she's basically saying, hey, you think tonight was a great feast? It gets better.
It's like I feel like Goliston was taking it as like requesting the Swan Night is some kind of like secret like password or something to just like try something more indulgent, and he's just like not. He just feels like kind of like strange.
Yeah, and the rest of the feast, kind of like it rounds out with not any big events, and you slowly but surely make your way to bed, and you go to your nice private room that you share only with one other person. Again, a pretty big deal. And you curl up, but then a couple hours later, you're awakened by a serving wench in the middle of the night.
I rise. I'm kind of like a little bit out of sorts. I'm a little bit confused, but I see what she's come to offer.
Sir Knight, my lady wishes to meet with you in private.
I put my fine clothes back on. Of course, try to make it look like I was like never sleeping, and I go and visit the ladies' quarters
Well,
or
the
wherever.
ser- yeah, the serving wench kind of takes you into the back room behind the kitchens, and there you see, as beautiful as ever, is Triamore, the Countess of the castle, and she's kind of just waiting there, and she says to you, "Courageous knight, my thanks to you for coming here. I seek aid from someone who will have a pity on a captive woman and who is not afraid to act when the time comes. Will you help me?"
My lady, you've truly found the right person. I am indeed your most humble knight for this task.
Wonderful. The kind lord here is a generous one and very generous with the gifts of others. He came here and took all from me and made me his slave wife despite my protests. No one protests for me now because they fear him. He will murder anyone who contests his claim, but someone must bring me justice.
Goliston is kind of thinking, I think in his idea, he was going to kind of like ride this countess out of here and like rescue her, like in stories. But he's getting like a different picture now. Like this is hers, and she probably wouldn't want to leave that. So he's kind of just like rubbing his chin and thinking, and he's just like, well, my lady, it was my plan to rescue you from this place, but I get the impression that you might not want to leave what is rightfully yours.
How is this making him like what sort of trait would you kind of align your feelings to? Like either mercy or just maybe?
I am definitely more just than I am merciful, like significantly.
Which
Uh,
one do you think feels more about like is clawing at Sir Goliston to kind of
so where Goliston stands on it, like he probably would think that this countess was like unjustly claimed by this count, I guess, right? I don't know. The way she was making it sound was like he took everything from her. And the fact that basically the fact that my lord, Sir Gregor, framed this as this is a countess who is being held captive, I'm inclined to believe that Count Gwindor's power is ill-gotten. And so that
okay.
like I'm kind of inclined to take the side of Triamore because like in my mind like she has been unrightly taken or something.
That sounds like a just roll then, because like you're trying
Okay,
to bring justice back.
pass 13 on a 16.
All right, check your just. And nodding along with what you said earlier, she says, "It'll be worth your while, I promise. You must seize the cup of Omigos at the feast to be held in 2 nights hence. It is large and worth the ransom of 10 knights with their equipment. If you succeed, then it will be yours. We can prepare him, and I will give a signal. Watch for it. You will act with courage and boldness. And I know a way to aid your task. You must ask the Lord for Noah's wine. 2 nights hence, you are his guest, and by hospitality, he cannot refuse you without appearing to be stingy. It's a heady liquor, and I'm sure the old guzzler will not be able to resist drinking it himself. When he is drunk, you can take the cup. Once you have hold of it, you must not stop until we are past the borders of this land. Then, and only then, will I be free."
Then it shall be done, my lady.
She nods, and like the as if out of nowhere, the serving girl appears and escorts you back to your quarters.
Goliston is like plotting in his head as he goes back to his quarters and retires for the night. He's not really like I don't know. He's not really like a conniving person. He doesn't really think he's going to be good at having like a secret intention to all of this. So that kind of worries him. Like maybe he won't be able to sell this good enough. Maybe he won't be able to like request this without raising suspicion. But he's like, well, surely I have to try.
So, Dawn, the next morning, you wake up and you put on your clothing once again, and you're met by Sir Stephen, who is asking if you wish to volunteer to accompany him on patrol. Otherwise, if you wish to stay behind, there's a chess match today.
I will accompany him on patrol. Maybe there's more I can learn from him.
Excellent. Gear up and meet me by the stables.
Of course. And then, I have Baldrick kind of like get me set up. And then I go and I ride up to this, or not ride up. I meet him to the stables and, I get ready to set out with him.
In addition to your mail and your helm, you're also kind of wearing like this like oiled leather like cloth to kind of protect you because the rain has not let up. Basically, you're escorting like a bunch of peasants carrying like tools of some sort, and you're going to watch over them as they, dig a ditch. The patrol goes north along the dike and then south, and then at certain intervals, Sir Seethan stops and instructs the peasants to work, and they kind of dig water trenches to keep the dike from bursting and relieve areas in certain places. And it's like, okay, this here, even if we don't need it, will be good for irrigating crops. And naturally you don't indulge in any of the physical labor. Can you make me an awareness check?
That's a fail.
I mean, it is raining quite hard. You don't really notice anything out of the ordinary. But you're at this for most of the day. There's not a whole lot of warriors out with you, which is probably why Sir Seethan asked for you to accompany him. But you make your way back and get dried off, and Baldrick's there to meet you with your best clothing again, because once again it's almost time to get ready for the feast of the second night. I like knights. Do you like knights too? If so, check out our Scion, Temptation, and 13th Age games for more chivalric role-playing.